Uh-oh, no, 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 no. That she fighting,
I'm his baby mama, not her. And you know it's wrong. Don't y'all touch me. This is my son. You know what you did and it was wrong. You were wrong. I don't want to hear it. They know where the fuck to go. But you know what? This woman in me.
It was meant to be a packed room filled with people dressed in black, all trying to get through the hardest day of their lives. Now imagine that same room erupting into a fistfight just beside the body. We begin in San Francisco at the farewell for a young man named Banco Brown. You might think something like that only happens once in a very long while. But the sad truth is that it continues to happen again and again. And today, we are showing you 3 separate moments when a sacred farewell went completely off the rails. Some of it is grief. Some of it comes from old family conflicts that were never resolved. And some of it is simply pride. But every one of these moments will leave you speechless. What you just saw is only the first glimpse of what we are dealing with. Now, here is a woman leaning over an open casket to kiss the man she loved for one final time. And watch what her family does to her the exact moment her lips come close to his face.
uh-oh, no, 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 no. That she fighting, they fighting.
And this is a grieving mother who took the microphone at her own son's service and told the entire church exactly what she had done to keep that boy fed and clothed, standing before God and everyone else with nothing held back.
I prostituted and sold drugs so my son could have everything he wanted.
We even have a bishop in Brooklyn who got physical with a woman right in the middle of his own live-streamed sermon. And we're going to get into the man people call the bling bishop, including how he went from the pulpit to a jail cell that very same afternoon. But before we get into the bishop's story, let's begin with this one because it may be the saddest of them all. His name was Joshua Allen. And if you were watching television back in 2008, you probably already recognize his face, even if the name does not immediately come to mind. Joshua was a young man from Fort Worth, Texas, music, who could move his body like almost nobody else could. He took that incredible talent and went on to win an entire season of a popular national show in front of millions of people across the country. Years later, that same talented man ended up walking along a set of train tracks in the darkness. And the way he left this world shattered many hearts. Then his funeral became the very kind of chaos we are discussing today, with his girlfriend getting into a physical confrontation with his mother's side of the family right beside his body. His life shows that even the brightest talent in the world cannot shield you from the pain you carry inside. And his death left an entire community looking for answers. So, let's go back to the beginning and explain how a golden boy from Texas ended up on those tracks in the dark. Joshua Demon Allen was born on March 13, 1989 in Fort Worth, Texas. He grew up in that city, dancing from the time he was a small child running around the house. He began dancing around age 8, looked up to Michael Jackson, taught himself the moonwalk, and even performed as a child at Fort Worth's Base Hall, while also playing football and running track like any other Texas kid. Dancing, however, was always what made him different. While he was still a teenager, he auditioned for So You Think You Can Dance in Dallas alongside his longtime friend Comfort Fed, a girl he.
The winner of So You Think You Can Dance 2008 is Joshua.
His old high school back in Fort Worth was so proud of their hometown kid that they organized an actual parade in his honor. For a young black man from Texas with big dreams, this was everything. It was the kind of moment entire families stay up praying music for. But even that beautiful high point came with pain because just 2 days before he left for Los Angeles, his 13-year-old cousin was shot and killed back in Fort Worth. and his audition happened to air around the same time that his cousin died. So from the very beginning, happiness and grief were tied together for this young man, and honestly, that pattern stayed with him throughout the rest of his life. After the show, Hollywood opened its doors to him. Joshua appeared in Step Up 3D in 2010, the Footloose remake in 2011, and also appeared in shows like American Horror Story and Community. Music. He returned to the show that had made him famous as an all-star, and later spent much of his time teaching and mentoring young dancers at conventions and workshops across the country, passing along the same gift that someone had once given him. His friend Comfort, who had watched him grow up in that difficult business, remembered him as a person with a genuine heart who was carrying a burden most people never saw. In her tribute, she described him as someone who had such a kind heart, even though you were so often misunderstood. She also acknowledged that the cards he was dealt sometimes placed him in difficult situations. That was a gentle way of saying his life was not simply parades and prize money, because behind every performance, this man carried grief that would have overwhelmed most people. Another friend and fellow choreographer, Emmanuel Hurd, remembered him as one of the most genuine people he had ever met in the life of every party. He was someone who did not always handle things the way everyone else thought he should, but he stayed completely true to himself every single time. That kind of honesty,
I just want to say thank you to everyone for coming out. And we're going to celebrate my nephew's life. He ran a lived a full life. I tell you what, when he won, so you think you can dance. I thought all Joshua knew how to do was hip hop dance. But he showed me walks. He could dance from other countries. Bollywood, yeah, this is the thing. He told us where he could act and sing. All the time, talented young man. But I tell you what, the apple don't fall too far from the tree.
6. While Joshua was still a recognizable face from television, he found himself in serious trouble in Los Angeles that had nothing to do with dancing. And it is the kind of trouble we cannot simply skip, music, over. Back in January of 2016, he was convicted of a misdemeanor for hurting a girlfriend. In music, a protective order was issued ordering him to stay away from her. That order did not stop him in the way it was intended to. Prosecutors say that in April of that same year, he assaulted and choked that same woman, and while he was already facing charges from that April incident, he went after her again in June. That June incident became a public scene that everyone could see. The woman ran into a nearby coffee shop in an attempt to escape him, and Joshua followed her inside, threw a glass vase at another woman who tried to intervene, attacked a man who stepped in, and damaged the shop until ordinary people had to physically restrain him. The Los Angeles County District Attorney then charged him with 2 felony counts of hurting a girlfriend after a prior conviction, along with a felony assault with a deadly weapon, music, and several lesser charges. He was facing more than 10 years in prison. In August of 2017, he pleaded no contest to a felony count of injuring a girlfriend and a felony assault with a deadly weapon. A judge sentenced him to 1 year in county jail, 5 years of probation, 52 weeks of domestic violence counseling, and a 10-year order requiring him to stay away from the people he had hurt. According to some accounts, he completely broke down and cried in the courtroom when the sentence was handed down. After all of that, Joshua returned home to Fort Worth around 2020, leaving the Hollywood spotlight behind and going back to the streets where he had grown up. And this is where a woman named Daysetta Brown enters the story because she says she stayed with him through the most difficult period of his entire life. Brown says the two were together for nearly 4 years and had been living together for about a year, and she strongly rejected anyone describing her as his ex. She referred to him as the love of her life and said they had spent time talking about marriage, children, music, buying a house, and traveling around the world together. She also explained that even though his arrest over the summer briefly separated them, he told her he wanted to come home. They continued communicating, and she believed he was genuinely trying to change and work on himself. She was also open about the fact that their relationship was not always easy. The one significant period when they were apart came after that summer arrest in Music, 2025. Even during that time apart, Brown says they continued talking because he repeatedly told her that he wanted to return home and do the work needed to improve himself. From her perspective, this was not a couple that had ended their relationship and moved on, but two people trying to keep their relationship together while one of them was struggling badly. That is why the ex-girlfriend label later affected her so deeply, because from her point of view, she remained his partner and never stopped trying to stand by him, even when standing by him meant confronting the very people who were supposed to be helping him. But Brown also says she saw something slowly falling apart inside him. During their second year together, she noticed signs, Music, including intense attachment, jealousy, and paranoia. And she says she tried every possible way she could think of to get him proper help. His own father, Eddie Powell, completely supported that Music account and confirmed that his son was dealing with mental health struggles before his death. And this is the heartbreaking part because according to Brown, every time she asked for help, the only response the system gave her was a jail cell. She told reporters that she pleaded with law enforcement to get him mental health assistance instead, arresting him, and nobody listened. There was a 90-day emergency protective order against him that lasted from July until September 22nd of 2025 and was connected to those mental health incidents. Brown says she had no say in that decision whatsoever. Then, just 3 days before his death, she says she contacted his probation officer, explained that she was afraid, and was told to record him so they could have him sent back to jail. She viewed that as the entire system choosing punishment instead of providing the treatment he actually needed. By the time that final year arrived, Joshua was living under serious legal pressure that never went away. He remained under the kind of supervision that followed him everywhere, and the autopsy would later confirm that he was wearing a black ankle monitor when he died, which matched the probation situation Brown had repeatedly described. Early reports even described him at one point in a way that suggested he did not have stable housing. So this was a man who had gone from winning a national show and a $250,000 prize to having a monitor attached to his leg while his partner feared what could happen next. When you put everything together, the fame, the losses, the history of domestic violence, the untreated mental health struggles, the drugs in his system, and a system that repeatedly answered pleas for help with handcuffs, you begin to understand how someone could end up walking along a set of railroad tracks at 1 o'clock in the morning with his phone in his hand. Then came September 30th of 2025, around 1 o'clock in the morning, and everything came to an end. Joshua was on the railroad tracks near Millbrook Lane and Field Lane in South Fort Worth. According to the police report and a 911 call obtained by the U.S. Sun, the train conductors first saw him from about 200 feet away, walking toward the approaching train while holding his phone up and recording. They repeatedly sounded the horn in an attempt to get his attention, but he continued walking directly toward the train until he was hit, and they said there was no way they could stop in time. The caller described him simply as a man wearing a tan shirt, recording on his phone as he walked toward the train. He was taken to a hospital, but he did not survive.
So You Think You Can Dance winner Joshua Allen has died at just 36 years old. The reality competition champ passed away on September 30th in Texas, with a family member telling TMZ that Allen was struck by a train. Police told the Fort Worth Star-Telegraph that authorities found a man near railroad tracks around 1 a.m., and he was later pronounced dead after being taken to a nearby hospital. The investigation reportedly remains ongoing. County medical records confirm Allen died in a Fort Worth emergency room at 1:29 a.m. An official cause and manner of death were not immediately made public. Allen won So You Think You Can Dance Season 4 in 2008 and went on to appear in American Horror Story, Footloose, and Step Up 3D. He spent a year in jail after pleading no contest to domestic violence charges in 2016. His last Instagram post was in honor of late Cosby Show star Malcolm Jamal Warner, who accidentally drowned in July on a family trip to Costa Rica.
Months later, in March of 2026, the Tarrant County Medical Examiner determined that he had taken his own life, with the cause listed as blunt force injuries. The autopsy also found alcohol, cocaine, and ketamine in his system and recorded that he was wearing a black ankle monitor at the time. He was only 36 years old. And there is another detail that makes the story even more painful. because his old friend and rival Twitch boss had also taken his own life just a few years earlier in 2022. Joshua had publicly mourned him. Alan previously paid tribute to fellow So You Think You Can Dance alum Steven Twitch boss following the 40-year-old's December 2022 suicide, remembering how the two first connected. Music, writing at the time. I remember when we first met in Vegas for So You Think You Can Dance, and we were sitting on the stairs getting ready to audition, chatting about how nervous but hungry we were to get on the show and change the game. I knew from the beginning you'd do that. You've inspired me from day one, as well as so many others around the world. Twitch was Alan's runner-up on their season of the hit Fox series, and choreographer Emmanuel Hurd, a friend of both dancers, expressed his grief over Alan's death in an emotional Instagram post, writing, "This one hurts deep. I know you're with Steven now, and that brings me comfort." Two young black men who danced their way onto the same stage, both gone in the same tragic way. His homegoing was scheduled for Saturday, November 8th, 2025 at Beth Eden Baptist Church in Fort Worth, with a wake held the night before and a burial afterward. And loved ones even created a fundraiser to help cover the costs of giving him the proper farewell he deserved. It was an open casket service, and it should have been a day filled with nothing but peace and prayer. Instead, music. It became the fight that people online are still debating to this day, because Desetta Brown walked over to the casket to say her final goodbye, and the entire room erupted. Before we get into the fight itself, it is important to understand what this day was supposed to be. The family had arranged a complete homegoing service, with a wake the night before and the main ceremony that Saturday afternoon, while loved ones raised money simply to give him a proper farewell after such an unexpected loss. For Desetta Brown, this was not some random funeral she had decided to attend. This was the man she called her soulmate, the person she planned to marry and build a future with. And the date of the service, November 8th, also happened to fall on the one-year anniversary of the day the two began living together. So imagine carrying that particular kind of heartbreak into a room while still believing you had every right to be there because you had been told you were welcome. Brown says she had been invited music by family members and given permission to attend. Joshua's father tells the exact same story. Watch how Eddie Powell explained what happened, because he placed the blame directly on his son's mother's side of the family.
No arrests or citations were made. Joshua's father, Eddie Powell, tells TMZ the woman seen in the clip was Joshua's girlfriend, who had been trying to leave a note and kiss him goodbye. Powell says members of Joshua's mother, Angela Talbot's side of the family, attacked her, despite allegedly giving her permission to attend. She came in peace, Powell said. She showed nothing but grace, patience, and love.
So, according to the father, Brown approached the open casket, placed a note on Joshua's chest, and leaned forward to kiss him one final time. That was the exact moment a woman came up behind her and grabbed her, sending the entire room into chaos. One channel covering the story identified the woman who grabbed her as an aunt from Joshua's mother's side of the family. Watch how quickly the peace in that room turned into complete chaos.
Uh-oh, no, 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 no. She fight, they fight.
And this was not a situation that came out of nowhere either, because tension had already been building outside and around the service long before that grab took place, with the maternal side making it completely clear that they did not want Brown anywhere near the body. You can hear it in their own voices as they discuss that old restraining order and what they intended to do about her being there.
Show them the paper what to do. That's right. We are a threat to her. Well, she shouldn't be here. She should not be here. No, you don't. Don't you come and apologize. I didn't. You don't even know who you were. You make the book up. like I say. No. She ain't gotta go to jail. We'll get an alley, baby. You know your alley. You want me to sit in there and look at her?
When you step back and take in the entire situation, it is a real gut punch. Here is a woman who says she spent years trying to get the man she loved into treatment, only to be confronted at his casket by the very family she says had invited her there in the first place. And here is a family so devastated by Joshua's death that they could not keep everything together long enough to give him a peaceful burial. Brown put it best when she made it clear that she was never the source of his pain, telling reporters that the system failed both him and her, while remembering him as a kind and talented man who still had so much to give the world. One reason this story continued spreading online was the argument over who Brown actually was, because some relatives and commenters kept referring to her as an ex-girlfriend, while she and Powell strongly rejected that description and insisted she was his current music partner until the day he died. That disagreement may seem minor, but it is at the very center of the funeral drama, because if she was family, then she had every right to be at that casket. But if she was an ex who had previously been subject to a restraining order, then the maternal side believed she had no right to lean over his body. Both sides stood their ground, and the internet chose sides. And a young man who deserved a quiet farewell became the focus of an argument that nobody could resolve. What gets buried beneath all that noise is the simplest truth of all. Everyone in that room, the girlfriend and the mother's side alike, had lost someone they loved. And grief that deep almost never comes out neatly. Rest in peace to Joshua Allen, a man who brought so much happiness to the world through movement, but still could not find enough peace for his own heart. That was our first goodbye gone wrong, and it unfolded in the world of fame and Hollywood pressure. Our second one brings a completely different kind of pain because it did not happen on a stage or under.
I am going to ask everyone in the church for forgiveness of me. Everybody call me a man. I just act on my emotions. Y'all forgive me for my actions today. I am in a very emotional state.
A spotlight. It came from a small South Carolina town, a late night at a bar, and a best friend with a gun. And the mother left behind decided she was going to speak her truth at that funeral, no matter how uncomfortable it made anyone inside that building. Meet Stu and Dwayne Washington, a young man from Longs, South Carolina, whom everyone in his life describes in almost exactly the same music way, as a bright light that simply could not be dimmed. He was born on July 28, 2000 in the Myrtle Beach area, and his family had moved back to that part of South Carolina from Florida when he was young. He attended Susty High School, worked laying asphalt and concrete for a company called HTOP Enterprises, and enjoyed fishing and visiting the shooting range during his free time. Most importantly, he was a father to a young son, and the people who knew him say he was the kind of person who would give you the shirt off his own back without giving it a second thought. Watch how the people who loved him remembered his heart after he was gone.